Stop. Cut it out. Knock it off. What, do you want me to say it in Japanese? Yamero. Stop what, you ask? Stop allowing these motherfuckers to claim they are not racist. Nerdrotic, aka Gary Beekler, is a racist. Jeremy Griggs is a racist. Will Jordan is a racist. These people and their orbiters exemplify everything this series is meant to combat. Farming and harvesting outrage, whining about women in basically any piece of media they appear in, pretending they are fans or former fans of the things they incessantly cry about. And racism. But the pussy kind of racism that the KKK employ. You know, hiding under bed sheets so they can live their lives in peace during the day while terrorizing black people at night. That's what these people do, only they've modernized the Klan tactics, hiding their racism behind hilariously weak media critiques that could have come from a Cracker Jack box. Poor writing this, slop that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of me rebutting Birdman's horrible video that he did on Critical Drinker. While editing the last video, I realized something kinda crazy. I realized that his video might be about a year or a year and a half old when this series comes out. There are a couple of reasons why. The first is I'm new to YouTube. I'm new to editing and compiling clips and all that stuff, so I might fuck up, you know? The only video I made was that Pedro Pascal one, and I don't really think that I have to explain to you that I'm improving. The second is when I found out about this video, which is about, I think, maybe a month after it came out or 2, it pissed me off and it really motivated me to make a channel. But it's not like I started this channel as soon as I saw the video. There was definitely a nervous element with making this channel, as well as making videos, etc. Making these videos have been fun, but there's also been so much bullshit that goes with it. Like that. I don't know if you heard that. But I don't have a booth. So cars pass by. The noise can be really annoying. I was thinking about recording in my closet, and I'm going to give that a go for the next part. So don't worry, there won't be cars throughout the video. I edit them out and I make sure that I'm not talking when they're passing by or whatever. It's just one of those annoying things, you know? Also, the reason why it's going to be a little late is because I work a graveyard shift. It hasn't been a problem since I've established a schedule and started working whenever I can. But that does play a factor, so I'm going to mention it here. I frankly don't give a fuck how long these videos take, and I don't give a fuck how long ago that video came out. What I'm saying needs to be said. My goal in this series is to make the strongest argument against Birdman, an airtight argument supported by facts and evidence. And with that, we will continue on with his Critical Drinker video.
The less obvious observation is that Will is a race baiter. The Spider-Verse films, while featuring a black protagonist, do not contain the themes of race relations. The more astute of you will then ask, well, why even bring that up at all? And therein lies the problem. Will's goal with many of his film reviews is to galvanize his mostly male, mostly white, and mostly straight audience around the idea that they are being attacked for being those three things. You do this often enough, and the audience will begin to believe it. Hence, that atrocious reading of Across the Spider-Verse.
Calling Critical Drinker a race baiter is kind of funny to me because it just shows that you don't really watch him very much. Either that or you're being dishonest. But the more you think about this statement, the more it becomes a nothing argument. It's like, yeah, he mentioned race. Does that make him a race baiter? Really? Are you a race baiter when you do it? I don't think I have to show you the multiple clips of him bringing up race, you know? So does that make him a race baiter? This makes no sense. Whatever, he's gonna say more retarded stuff, so let's continue.
But it gets even better. Here he is doing the same thing to the Batman.
There seems to be a bit of a debate going on about whether or not this movie is woke, mainly because of the demographics of certain characters. And to be fair, there is a bit of evidence to support this claim. If I was a cynical man, I'd say it's kind of interesting that the rich, corrupt scumbags targeted by the Riddler all happen to be straight, white, middle-aged men. But hey, I guess that's just a total coincidence.
Seriously, What the fuck does this movie have to do with race? He has straight white men in his mouth so often you'd think he was an escort. If he applied even a little of that gray matter, maybe he'd come to the conclusion that most rich people in our society tend to be white men. The Riddler was going after police officers and politicians, and again, in our society, they tend to be white. What Drinker is asking for here is diversity, but only amongst the villains of the film. Moreover, what he's conveniently leaving out is Riddler also attempted to assassinate the mayor-elect, a black woman.
So here Birdman plays the ending of Drinker's review. It's like a 13-minute long review, and he plays the ending. And then he doesn't even play the full context of the whole thing. So in this dumbass's own clip, the Drinker states that there seems to be a bit of a debate that the movie is woke. And context matters. There seems to be a bit of a debate that this movie is woke. Does not sound like I think that this movie is woke. And then he states, to be fair, and then presents an argument from that side. The people who think that this movie is woke. From that side of the aisle. He then presents a little bit more of an argument to represent that side fairly, stating a legitimate thing that he noticed in the movie. Now this clip on its own that Birdman presents to me, I would go, I don't know, maybe was he really talking about that stuff? Like, was he really criticizing? Probably. But if you do your due diligence just a little bit and go and actually watch the video, you can get the video in its full context. Isn't that weird? He put it out of context. He plucked it out of context and made sure to remove the part that disagrees with what he was talking about. Isn't that weird? He later acts like he's showing you the rest of the clip, but really, no he's not. He conveniently left out the part where Critical Drinker was supporting race swap in this Batman movie.
As for race swapping certain characters, yes, that does indeed happen here, but I should probably point out that Billy D. Williams was playing Harvey Dent way back in 1989, and nobody seemed to give a shit about that.
So in the parts that you cut out, conveniently, maybe you didn't see this part, or maybe you just stopped the video right there and then went, I gotta make a video about this right now. But I'm gonna say you're a piece of shit and you watched it. Anyway, in the parts that you conveniently cut out, it looks like the Drinker was supporting the race swap of Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon. And he talked favorably about the black cat. Wait, sorry, 1 second. Okay, so she's half African American and half Jewish. Don't want to get it wrong and give the outraged crowd something to complain about. But yeah, he frequently compliments Zoe Kravitz, and he says that race never really comes into the picture. Ultimately, he mentions that people have been saying this, but it's not a problem in the movie. So I guess that clip was a bit misleading. How about that? The reason why he splits Critical Drinker's video and puts one part there and one part there is to justify the tirade that he goes on. You'll never find a clip out of context without some nefarious reason why. And after his cute little tirade that he goes on, he plays the rest of the clip. I know I haven't shown you yet, but it's just so insane I have to set it up for you. He straight up acts like the rest of his argument doesn't exist and then plays his argument after. Obviously with the middle part X-nayed, he plays the rest of the clip that just straight up goes against what he just said. I don't know. Look, I'll show you.
If all of this wasn't baffling enough, he himself states this film isn't about race.
And to be fair, Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright both do a great job with the roles they're given, and apart from one poorly judged line from Catwoman right at the end, race never really comes into the picture. So I guess what I'm saying here is that while the movie takes a few little stabs at modern day social issues, it really never dominates the narrative.
Does he even hear himself?
Ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is utter stupidity. Let me walk you through what Birdman just said, and then we'll go over the arguments individually. Birdman got mad at the Drinker for presenting an argument that he disagrees with, presented it as his argument, and then he was like, oh, he agrees with me. He showed the rest. All right, so he showed the rest of the clip where Drinker said that this is not a problem, and he doesn't think that it is. And then he gets mad at that? I don't understand. And then he's like, oh, do you even hear yourself? It's like, do you? He's agreeing with you. What, because he presented a different argument? Okay, let's go through this one by one. Right, so let's start with the first thing. This here, and also in his future videos, also later on in the video as well, is the reason I feel justified in insulting and making fun of the Birdman. He does the same with Drinker, but at least I don't call him racist, nor sexist, because that's stupid. But you'll find in this video, and also in future videos as well, he constantly paints the Drinker in an unfair light. He gets so comfortable doing this, eventually he starts calling him a racist. Just flat out racist. He's not saying that he's hiding it, he's not saying that he might be, he's saying that he is, and claiming that he proved it many times before. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Okay, on to politicians, I guess. So he shows that most politicians and most rich people are white men. Now this would be a really good gotcha, if that's what the Drinker was talking about, or what the Drinker said, or have anything to do with anything. So I'm gonna hold your hand and walk through Drinker's statement with you, okay? He said the rich, corrupt scumbags targeted by the Riddler all happen to be straight, white, middle-aged men. Now I wonder why he would say that. Is it because he remembers the mayor-elect? The black female politician? You know, the black female politician who's not corrupt, who wants to help Gotham, you know? Unlike the straight white males, who are rich and corrupt. Like those people. Birdman, you have to apply your brain to every statement. It would be a completely different story if Drinker said, all of the Riddler's targets happen to be rich, corrupt, white people. Then that stupid shit that you said, minus the politician's part, would be accurate. But instead, he said all of the rich, corrupt scumbags targeted by the Riddler happen to be straight, white, middle-aged men. This is middle school shit. In the first statement, the Riddler is targeting them, and one of the reasons is because they are straight, white men. It also states that all of the Riddler's targets are straight white men. But in the second statement, the Riddler targeting the straight white men are something that they have in common, as well as being rich and corrupt, meaning that it's not a contradiction that the Riddler went after a black politician. 141 IQ, everybody. It also just occurred to me that aside from Bruce Wayne, she's the only one that survived the assassination attempts on her life. Is Drinker's point here valid? Well, that's up to you. But ultimately, Drinker said that this does not matter. He says that he's calling for diversity as well, but only for the villains, except that he defended the black Harvey Dent. He defended the black Commissioner Gordon, and he also praised the black Catwoman. Like, I feel like I should hammer this point home. He doesn't have a problem with other races being in this movie. He doesn't even agree that this movie is woke. But Gamer, why did Critical Drinker bring this up in the first place? Oh, hello, straw man that I just made up. Well, here's the thing. Birdman claims that he doesn't care about politics. And he claims that he only talks about facts, logic, and all that other stuff that we discussed in the last video. Unlike Birdman, Critical Drinker openly talks about politics, and he doesn't act like he's not doing that. He even has a whole video talking about his definition of woke. A video that I've been referencing whenever they talk about woke stuff. Now, obviously, it's up to you what you want to watch, and it's up to you if you think that politics should be in a movie review. And it's up to the Critical Drinker whether he thinks that it's worthy or not to mention these politics in his video. People can watch whatever they want, and if you're making content, you can make whatever content you want to make. As long as it's within the terms of service, you know. What I particularly get annoyed with is when people lie about whether they mention it or not. Anyway, after he lets Critical Drinker finish with his point, which even without the middle bit disproves Birdman's whole point, he goes, "Did you even hear yourself?" Which is not a fucking argument.
There seems to be a bit of a debate going on about whether or not this movie is woke, mainly because of the demographics of certain characters, and to be fair, there is a bit of evidence to support this claim. If I was a cynical man, I'd say it's kind of interesting that the rich, corrupt scumbags targeted by the Riddler all happen to be straight, white, middle-aged men, but hey, I guess that's just a total coincidence. As for race swapping certain characters, yes, that does indeed happen here, but I should probably point out that Billy D. Williams was playing Harvey Dent way back in 1989, 1989, and nobody seemed to give a shit about that. And to be fair, Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright both do a great job with the roles they're given, and apart from one poorly judged line from Catwoman right at the end, race never really comes into the picture. So I guess what I'm saying here is that while the movie takes a few little stabs at modern day social issues, it really never dominates the narrative.
Does he even hear himself? Listen to this incredible leap in logic for Godzilla vs. Kong.
And oh look, Kong's been abducted from his homeland and taken across the ocean to America in chains. I mean, there's on-the-nose writing, and then there's next-level stuff like this. I wonder who you're supposed to sympathize with here.
Yes, Drinker just called African slaves apes and tried to frame it as the screenwriters doing so. That, my children, is what we in the English-speaking world call projection. And like almost every observation this guy makes, it's hilariously wrong. They're not even taking Kong to America. They're going to Antarctica in this scene. So not only did he get the scene wrong, he saw racial themes in a film where there are none because his brain immediately goes to black people when he sees an ape in chains.
This statement kind of reminds me of winning the lottery. It's very, very unlikely to win the lottery. Very unlikely. I think it's like 1 billion to 1 or something. Whenever somebody wins the lottery, you're like, oh, really? Oh, nice. How much they win? That was my reaction when Birdman made a good point. Oh, wow, he made a good point. That's insane. That's crazy. But then just like the lottery, when you find out that the person who won the lottery spent it all on like cars and a house and like crazy shit like that, and then now he's broke. And then you find out that he later had to sell the house and sell the car, and now he's alone and homeless and all that junk. You're just like, God damn, you had it. You had the lottery pick. You had it, but then you lost it. Fucking like, just like Birdman. Let's go over his good point first. Now, I watched a video where Critical Drinker said this, and really there's no extra context. In my opinion, this is a valid criticism on Critical Drinker. I don't think there was necessarily a reason to show slavery while Kong was on a boat chained up. Like, I get that the movie wants you to root for Kong and all that, but I don't think the slavery visual was necessary, nor do I think that they correlate. However, he did not call black people apes. He did not try to push it on the writers or anything like that. He brought up similarities and imagery. Sure, imagery you disagree with, and I disagree with, but it's far from calling black people apes. My mind didn't go to that when watching this video, and most people's minds didn't go to that when watching it. Most people's criticism on this video was that the Big Dumb Monster movie was the point. That it's supposed to be big, dumb monsters fighting each other, bashing it out. It seems like the only one equating black people to apes was Birdman. Now how about that? He also brings up that they weren't going to sorry, this is stupid. He says that they weren't going to America. God damn it, don't you know they were going to Antarctica? What the fuck, man? Birdman, you fucking retard. That was a trailer reaction. It was his thoughts on the trailer. He didn't see the movie at this point. It was speculation about what the movie was going to be about. He was wondering if the movie was going to be good. He didn't see the fucking movie at this point, you stupid. It's like, do you even watch the videos you're critiquing? Now, if you're gonna go after this, you really need to phrase your argument a little bit differently. Something like, well, they're not going to America, they're going to Antarctica. But he didn't know that because this is a trailer reaction. So he shouldn't have assumed that they were going to America in the first place. That's about where everyone, your audience and Drinker's audience included, would be like, that's a valid criticism. But you're painting it like he fucking saw the whole movie and was like, oh, they're going to America, when they were actually going to Antarctica. Does the Birdman even hear himself?
Toxic Gamer says, hey Drinker, the Birdman claims that you called black people apes. Don't know if you remember, but in your Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, you brought up slavery imagery after showing Kong chained up. I know you weren't calling them apes. If you remember, could you please explain why that was there? Or if you regret putting that in your video? What the fuck? I do not remember that in the slightest. You'd have to be going back a ways with that. I mean, a lot of the times in my videos, what you'll see is just like say, a chunk of trailer content or whatever, if I'm just making some general point about the movie. And so, the imagery that you're seeing isn't like specifically chosen to coincide with every sentence that I'm saying, because it's just generalized stuff, particularly when it's a new film like that probably was. There's not a whole lot of footage to play with, because there's only like trailers and stuff out, and the copyright police are always going to be on your arse. So I don't know if that's some weird coincidence or what, or if he's absolutely reaching, but I certainly would never make such a ridiculous comparison. So there you go.
So another thing, this is not a take that's unique to him. King Kong has been getting interpreted as an allegory for black people since the first movie by anti-racist activists. See, look at that, it's right there on the Wikipedia page. And look, if having the same opinion of the Minecraft movie trailer as a white supremacist makes you a white supremacist, then this must make this guy like Scottish Martin Luther King. I don't know, man, when a character's been getting criticized for almost a century by other film critics for being a racist allegory for black people, and then his new movie has people enslave him, put him in chains, and carry him from one continent to another on a boat. Like, even if that's not what the movie's going for, is it not unreasonable that somebody might see that?
You know what we be doing to each other, bro?
Yeah.
So why you acting like you some holier than thou motherfucker? Like you don't partake in that shit. Like, and then on top of that, even if you are, who the fuck cares? Who are you? Who are you, nigga? Nobody. We don't give a fuck. So stop talking like you. Like stop bringing race into everything. Niggas be out here bringing race into shit about like comic book characters or movies and shit that feature comic characters. Like, bro, stop being gay for just a moment. Right? Maybe you'll realize why your dad left. You'll realize that because you're a bitch. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he says it's fucking stupid, man. He's like, Critical Drinker's calling black people apes here, clearly, and it's like, okay. No, he's not though.
Right.
Fucking dumbass.
That nigga's stupid, bro. I would have doubled down too if I was Critical Drinker. I'm like, listen, nigga, if I wanted to say black people was apes, nigga, I would have came out on some Frieza shit. What are you talking about, nigga? Loki, shut up. Get the fuck out of here. Niggas stupid, bro. Niggas just want to make it. I'm telling you, I don't like when niggas be trying to pull that race card online. You know he didn't say that shit. And yeah, the imagery was a little bit like, okay, man, come on. This is a little bit too close. Maybe not do something like that again. But we get what you're trying to say. This motherfucker's out here making it seem like he's pushing a full-on allegory for, all black people are monkeys. Like, shut up, fucking idiot. Fucking hillbilly. Be quiet. Stupid ass nigga.
Okay, next up we have him going over his favorite picture. I know it's his favorite picture because he just won't shut the fuck up about it. This picture is from the Minecraft movie teaser trailer. I'm gonna show his argument from the video that he made before this video. The very first, Exposing the Grift, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of a long one, so strap in.
I want you to take a hard look at this photograph and then look at the tweet. The cynical grifter has not seen this movie. No one has. And yet, he's already made up his mind that this is a problem. Because otherwise, there's no point to this tweet. If he's not saying this image is an issue, then he's saying modern filmmaking isn't an issue, and we all know he doesn't believe that. So what could possibly be the problem with this photograph? Oh, damn. It's the black woman in the foreground, isn't it? I mean, because if it isn't, you've got 3 other humans in the picture, each of them relatively innocuous. Unless you count the Hawaiian dude in the silly costume, because the glam rock aesthetic wasn't a thing in the past ever, and it's something modern filmmakers for the Minecraft movie made up in 2024, apparently. And clearly his problem can't be the straight white male protagonist or the normal-looking white woman in the background, so clearly his issue is the fat black woman. But how does cynical grifter not know this woman was the best person for the job? I'm not naive. I understand the answer to that question will be more euphemisms and conspiracy theories like DEI, but that's not an answer to my question. I'm asking, how does he know?
I'm sorry you had to endure a long clip of this idiot, but let's go through this argument. He really, really wants to know why this picture is so terrible. Well, luckily for you, Birdman, I have time. However, in order for me to identify why that screenshot from the Minecraft movie trailer was terrible, I'm going to have to give my opinion on this topic. Because, again, opinions aren't fact. That being said, I will share Drinker's opinion as well as his open bars. Because those dirty grifters' opinions are the ones called into question right now. I happen to share some of them. So, why don't we go through it? Despite how he tries to frame it, it's not the black lady in the foreground. Surprise, I know, but there's more nuance than just, oh my god, everybody's racist. In this line of dialogue in the script, he says that there are 3 other humans that look relatively innocuous. Just, dude, could you do me a favor? When you reference humans, could you just call them people? I mean, it's not like there's a fucking alien in that picture, so just say people. Anyway, he goes over Jason Momoa. So here's the thing, this is just a screen grab of a very, very short trailer. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about here is going to be looks-based. What can I say? That's just the way it is. Anyway, Jason Momoa looks fucking weird. He goes over the glam rock aesthetic. Who gives a fuck? He looks weird. He brings up a picture of the glam rock aesthetic and he's like, yep, dismantled that argument like he did. Like, what? Like, if you take Dee Snider, the guy that has his mouth open, he's the band from Twisted Sister. If you take him and then you put him in the fucking... in Jason Momoa's place, he'll look just as weird. Everybody will be like, what the fuck? Why? For what? Usually the people dressing like that wanted to grab attention or send a message in some way. And people really like these bands. And hey, I'm a fan of some glam rock music. But glam rock is supposed to be attention grabby. It's supposed to make a statement. It's supposed to be something like that. If you take a glam rock singer and then put them in between a mix of like different people, they're gonna stand out. It's gonna look weird. Like, what is your argument here? He dresses as glam rock. He has a specific aesthetic, so it's fine.
What are you saying, Juan? What are you saying? What is he saying?
I had to share this. Like that, I said this on Twitter as well. If I had to like sum up modern entertainment in a single image, it's this.
Well, but like it's made so much worse when you're like, this is Minecraft. If you have any familiarity with the game, you're like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Dad bod Momoa with Farrah Fawcett hair. Like, what the hell is this?
Why even make a movie about Minecraft anyway? Like,
well, okay, to be fair, there's shit tons of money in that, more than likely. Like,
yeah, but a game that was popular, what, 10, 15 years ago?
Drinker is still fucking, it's the hugest game.
It's so huge.
Yeah, kids love that shit.
This is a huge cash cow for them to take advantage of. This is not the fun. Unfortunately, this movie probably will make money because Minecraft
make $1
is
billion.
enormous. But the thing is, you could have made a shit ton more money if you made a movie that wasn't whatever the hell this is.
It's just, yeah, it just looks awful.
But like, I saw people say Jason Momoa in this looks like the main girl in Star Wars Outlaws, and I couldn't.
It's always the chin with those characters.
And then he goes over the straight white male kid and the white female in the background, and he's like, surely you can't have a problem with these guys. Well, why not? You see how he's painting a picture for you? Well, that racist critical drinker, he's not gonna have a problem with this kid holding a MacGuffin in his hand. Like, why the fuck is the kid holding the Tesseract? What's going on here? It looks like every other movie that has a portal to a different world that has a MacGuffin that you need to, like, give to the good guy so that way the bad guy can die or whatever. I don't know. It looks like a Transformers thing. This fucking kid is holding what looks to be the Allspark in his hand, and we're just supposed to be like, yes, this looks amazing. A lot of people find MacGuffins to be a cheap way to do storytelling. Not all MacGuffins are bad, and hell, I didn't see the movie, so this could not be a MacGuffin, but I mean, it looks like it. Moving on to the young lady in the background, I don't know, she looks fine, I guess. I don't really have much criticism for her. And looking at the discourse surrounding this movie, or at least the discourse surrounding this teaser trailer, I don't think anybody really saw her as much of a problem. And based on your description of her, I think you know why nobody was really talking about her. It's because she looks normal. Alright, let's get to your favorite part. The quote-unquote fat black woman. Why do we have such a problem with this lady? The answer to this question is simple and hard for some people to digest. The truth is, she's conventionally unattractive. Unfortunate, but true. Danielle Brooks in this movie is dressed like a clown, and she's also overweight. Anyone even slightly in the film industry will tell you that optics do matter. So it's up to the film to make everyone look as good as possible. And I've seen her modeling photos, and she honestly looks thinner there. And she's still overweight, but she looks thinner. Her hair is done up, and she looks to be in a decent outfit, so I'm not too sure why they couldn't just do that here.
That's what humors me the most, is say the journalists of the world, the game journalists of the world are in utter shock that this project has failed.
I mean, just for context, that's the kind of character you get in this game. Wow. It just looks exactly like that Minecraft trailer for some reason.
It does, just change the color of the jacket.
Why? What is this weird fetish for like fat black women that just seems to be everywhere at the moment? Why do they have to be portrayed as fat?
That's quite.
Why are they doing that to them?
You know, like
there's a campaign against
fetish.
Anything beautiful, really.
Yeah,
I mean, sorry.
One of the things about this movie is that they're, like Drinker said earlier, there's some characters in here that don't have a purpose. Like his sister and the real estate agent. Like, what are they doing in the game world? They just get sucked in, and then they don't really accomplish anything. And it's like there were moments where they could have developed some kind of sub-story, some subplot for them, but they never engaged any of that. And they just, and it's really unfortunate that both of those characters are female and one is a person of color. And it's like, wow, great way to make it look really like you're just placing people on the board to get some representation. Give them something to do if you're going to put them in there. It would have been better without them, and they could have just cut 20 minutes.
100%, because Natalie is like the actress who plays her. I can't remember her name, but like she's fine in what she does. But like if you really wanted like, you know, the balance of male and female, fine. Like put her as the protagonist. Like replace Henry and put her in, because that would be fine. There's a sort of like, you know, like she's thrust into this position of being like his sister, but like because their mom's died, she has to try and be the maternal figure. But it never really goes anywhere, and the script doesn't quite seem to know what to do with them, and so she's just kind of like sidelined for most of the movie, and it just feels like, yeah, there's not really a purpose to her character. She's just kind of there, and it's definitely the problem with Dawn, the real estate agent, as you say. She has no character arc throughout this. She's not like unpleasant or anything, like, but she's just there. Like, there's no reason for her to be there. She doesn't really have a relationship to anyone. She doesn't know any of the characters. She's just sucked into this situation, and she's there. And yeah, I was just left by the end of the movie thinking, like, you could have cut her out of it and just saved a bunch of time.
Now, I understand there are people out there who like this style, and if this is for you, then so be it, but most people didn't really like this. And by this, I mean the picture and the trailer, not the movie. This is all optics and speculation before the movie came out, and nobody seemed to like it, except a select few, like I've said. None of this really had anything to do with race. They picked on that picture because, yeah, it looks like what a bad movie would look like. It has all the warning signs, all the red flags, all the characteristics of what a bad movie would look like. Again, I haven't seen the Minecraft movie, so I wouldn't know. Take it or leave it, these are the problems that people had with the Minecraft movie. It's also problems that I agree with. Now, let's get on to the delusional part of your argument. As if the rest wasn't delusional enough, he goes on this tirade.
In my last video, I showed a tweet by Drinker that I thought made it painfully obvious what his positions on black people in the media were. What I didn't account for was the insane mental gymnastics people would perform in order to deny that his post was racist in nature. So here's a tweet from a different person. If you're unfamiliar, this person is Nick Fuentes, a proud white supremacist. Sounds contradictory, I know, what with being a Mexican and having a name like Fuentes while being a white supremacist, but no one ever said white supremacists were intelligent. The point is, doesn't this tweet seem to be placing emphasis on a specific character in the Minecraft movie? I mean, now that I've told you this person is a white supremacist, it's obvious what his issue is, isn't it? So I'll ask again, what do you honestly think Will's problem with this image was? Do you really believe he's this upset about Jason Momoa's character here? Hold that thought. We're just getting started.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the reason I started making this video in the first place. So I had no idea who Nick Fuentes was going into this video. Lo and behold, this is a political figure. He happens to disagree with politics, man, so I had to look into this shit. I'm not as casual with the word racist as Birdman is. So when calling somebody a racist, I would like to have a bit of evidence. So I started doing my research on Nick Fuentes and found some weird stuff.
You can't ignore it. I ignore this fucker when he starts talking about the smokestacks at Auschwitz and how the shadows couldn't make sense and all this shit. Oh my God, the Holocaust really answers me.
I was looking up clips because I was curious on whether or not he was a racist white supremacist. And that led me down some bullshit rabbit hole after another set of bullshit rabbit holes.
Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I say 6 million, he says 600. You say probably a number in between there somewhere.
It took me a while to figure out exactly how I wanted to approach this topic. I didn't want to look up Nick Fuentes. I didn't care. Me looking him up and going down the rabbit hole, as I've said before, was not a part of the plan. I did not give a fuck. So I talked with my closest friends. We all brainstormed, figured out a way on how to make this part of the video bearable. And we've decided that Nick Fuentes, if he is a white supremacist or is not a white supremacist, it doesn't help or hinder my argument in any way. So, audience, I'm going to let you decide on this Nick Fuentes character.
Your politics bore me.
I encourage you all to do your own research on Nick Fuentes. Now, whether or not you've decided that he's a white supremacist, for the sake of this argument, we are going to say that Birdman's claims are true. Birdman says, doesn't this tweet seem to be placing emphasis on a specific character? He's talking about Nick Fuentes' tweet. In the Minecraft movie, he says, I mean, now that I've told you this person is a white supremacist, it's obvious what his issue is, isn't it? So, I'll ask again. What do you honestly think Will's problem with this image was? Before he says this, he responds to one of his critics, saying that they are performing mental gymnastics. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this. He shows Nick Fuentes' tweet, a white supremacist. As we've said, he's going to be a white supremacist for this argument. In order for Birdman to prove that Critical Drinker is a white supremacist, he has to show a tweet from someone who is not Critical Drinker. And the tweets are not the same. This is a completely different person. He has a completely different caption, and he has a completely different picture that highlights the black character. Since this person is a white supremacist, he is a racist, and since he is a racist, we know that him tweeting this is racist. Well, that's all well and dandy for Nick Fuentes, except that Critical Drinker is not Nick Fuentes. What Birdman is telling you to do is think of Critical Drinker as a white supremacist. Look at his tweet through the reasoning and lens of him being a white supremacist. If you look at him that way, it's obvious why he didn't like that picture that he posted. This is a flaw of thinking that in and of itself is racist. It's also a poisonous mindset to have when you're approaching a topic or discussion about anything. The fact of the matter is he knows he doesn't have sufficient evidence to call Critical Drinker a white supremacist. If you had shown evidence to us saying that he is a racist, and here's undeniable proof why, real evidence, not the bullshit you already shown, then you wouldn't have needed to bring a white supremacist to the argument. Because Critical Drinker is the white supremacist, right? So he says, think of Critical Drinker as a white supremacist. Think of his reasoning as Nick Fuentes' reasoning. If you think of Critical Drinker as a white supremacist, then it's obvious he is a white supremacist. But if you think of anybody as a racist, then they will appear racist to you. Imagine you're a black guy, and while you're walking, a white guy comes up to you and he says, how are you? How's it going? And you say, oh, I'm good. And he says, all right, that's good. Well, I'll see you later then. And then he walks away. You're like, wow, you know, that's a pretty good interaction, I think. And as you're feeling good about the exchange, your friend runs up to you and he says, dude, what the hell? Do you know who that was? And you're like, no, should I know who that was? Who was that? And he says, dude, that's really racist Randy. His name's Randy, and he's known for being really racist. So let's say you believe your friend on Randy, and you think that he is racist. Now, everything that he does, everything that he did, and everything that he said to you will be in that lens of like, is he racist? Oh, look, here's Randy posting about him not liking chocolate milk. Why doesn't he like chocolate milk? That's weird. Does he only like white milk? That's kinda, I don't know. Hold on, Randy said he liked Infinity War? Are there any black people? Yeah, there's plenty of black people in Infinity War. Did he like Wakanda just getting fucking decimated? And then you get to your personal interaction with Randy. You remember the last thing he said to you. See you later. What does that mean? In a normal conversation, see you later just means goodbye, hope to see you again, something like that, right? But see you later means that he's gonna see you later in this context. Like maybe outside of your door with a fucking burning cross and he's gonna come over there and burn your house down. Or maybe he's gonna fucking kill you. Randy's gonna fucking kill you, dude! You see how all of this shit just makes you crazy? You can become insane worrying about this shit. What if Randy is just some normal dude that you guys branded as racist? Wouldn't that be unfair? Well, luckily, if you're the Birdman, you have no care if you're being fair at all. You don't have to worry about pesky things like proof or evidence to support anybody being racist. You could just say bullshit all you want 24/7 and have an audience just eat that shit up.
Can you go downstairs and do my laundry for me, please? Why don't you do it?
Now, with that out of the way, let's get started with today's game show. Is he racist? There's $5,000 on the line. Let's give it up for our contestant today, Critical Drinker. Okay, everyone, okay, calm down. We all know the rules today. Remember, if you're the most racist, you get $5,000. 5 big ones. So, let's see, are you racist? We have 5 clips to show from Critical Drinker, and these clips are supposed to prove if he's racist or if he's just a big fat normie. The 5 clips are on the board. Let's go with number 1.
To say with all this stuff, it's integrated intelligently enough into the narrative that it actually enhances the film rather than detracting from it. It doesn't batter you over the head with its message, but instead invites you to consider what it might be trying to say, and that's just fine by me. The cast is superb throughout. Michael B. Jordan, who's become the Johnny Depp to Ryan Coogler's Tim Burton, gives one of the strongest performances of his career, playing 2 very different brothers with conflicting worldviews, but who stick by each other when it counts. Jack O'Connell is suitably intimidating and charismatic as Remick, the head vampire stalking them. Delroy Lindo is an actor that I haven't seen in anything in like 20 years, but damn, it's good to have him back. He always brought real warmth and humanity to his characters back in the 90s and 2000s, and he hasn't missed a beat here. And holy shit, props to Miles Caton as Sammy, who as far as I know, has never acted in anything before this movie. Damn, talk about making an entrance, man.
Number 2!
Denzel Washington's another weird choice for this film. I mean, I love the guy and he's one of the greatest actors of his generation, but he sticks out like a sore thumb in this movie with his New York accent and his modern day mannerisms. God only knows what kind of direction he was given, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't act like you're in a historical epic, Denzel. His motivations are vaguely defined and poorly realised, and I kept thinking he must have some cunning plan left to spring at the finale, but nope, he literally challenges a man half his age to a sword fight and acts surprised when he loses. What a waste of an awesome actor.
We have number 3 right here.
Joshua is the typical rising star, young and superficially confident, but also plagued by doubts and insecurities about the future, wondering if his career might be over before it's even begun. Damson Idris does a great job capturing Joshua's conflicted feelings towards his teammate and himself. He's a guy still struggling to figure out who he is and what he's worth, and instead of being a shallow antagonist, you actually find yourself rooting for him as the movie progresses.
Ooh, those don't seem very racist to me. What do you think, Tom? Oh, I think that he has a tough game ahead of him. I think honestly, Steve, I think that if he doesn't get these last 2, he might be in for it. Well, let's hope he's racist, Tom. Now, we're going over to clip number 4.
The star of the show, though, is Jonathan Majors as Dame. After watching him struggle through the river of dog shit that was Ant-Man 3, it's nice to see him in a movie where his talents can actually get recognised. Dame's a bit of a tortured soul, broken down by 2 decades in prison, but there's an anger and jealousy burning away behind it all. You feel like the guy could flip out at any moment, and it gives every scene with Adonis the kind of tension you could cut with a knife. On the directing front, this was Michael B. Jordan's first stint behind the camera, and it's not a bad effort to be fair.
Oh, and he missed his shot, but maybe the 5th one, maybe the 5th clip can prove that he is somewhat racist. At the very least, let's see.
Toxic Gamer says, I'm still in the middle of making my video on the Birdman. I'm rebutting his videos on You Drinker. Question, who are your 3 favourite black actors, male or female? 3 favourite black actors. Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and I kind of want to say Wesley Snipes, even though he's a bit of a dick, but man, I do love him in Blade. I'll go with that.
If you do a bunch of his best performances in a row, like I can't resist. Samuel L. Jackson is just fun as fuck in all of his best movies. He's become a bit close to like, he's getting like to the Rock levels though, where he's just moving into
we
lame
talked about
version
this.
of him. Yeah.
That's kind of why I discounted him, because I'm kind of like, okay, we're getting oversaturated with Samuel Jackson movies, and it's like, it used to be a hallmark of like, this movie's gonna be cool as fuck because Samuel Jackson's in it. Now it's like, kind of cringe a little bit because he just takes on anything.
I love Keith David whenever he turns up in anything. He's super fun. Love the voice.
Fair. And Forrest Whitaker as well. He's always entertaining.
Yeah, brings a gravitas every time. Forrest Whitaker. He's always reminds you of why he's fucking got so many different roles in so many different things. Do we say like James Earl Jones as well? Probably.
I mean, more voice acting, I guess.
Yeah,
he's what I appreciate with him.
Share of IRL acting, whatever you call it, real.
What's the name of? What's the name of the actor who was in Fall of the House of Usher? He was like the district attorney in that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. He was
I like him.
Fuck, I know. I forgot his name. Hang on, I'll get it. Yes, because he was in Falcon. Carl Lumley. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, I liked him in that. Got some real gravitas going on there.
Oh, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's fantastic at his best.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because we were just like gushing over him in Serenity. Just flaying the shit out of that role.
Ooh, well, I am so sorry. But that's it for today, folks. That is a big fat L. I'm sorry, Critical Drinker, you're gonna have to go home with no money. Thank you for playing Are You Racist? Let's get back to our regular scheduled program. Alright, so, if I was a member of Birdman's audience, and I loved Birdman, I was just in love with Birdman, just socking his dick, just slobbing that knob, I would think to myself in this point in the video, Birdman is not political. Even though he talks about all these politics, and he says politics this, politics that, racist this, racist that, identity politics, even though he says all of that shit, I'd be like, he's not political, because why would Birdman ever lie to me? Yeah. Anyway, here's a clip of him showing Destiny. No, not that Destiny, this Destiny. You may know him as being one of the most famous political commentators on the platform, and he advocates for the left wing. Here he is in the Birdman's video talking about conservatives.
Conservatives do this thing where they'll sit in a room, they'll watch a girl and a guy go into the other room, and they'll hear her screaming for 30 minutes and then come back out like bloodied and bruised, and you'll be like, bro, did that guy just beat the shit out of her? And the conservatives will look you in the eye, dead in the eye, into the ovals of your soul. They will look into you, and they will say, I didn't actually see it happen, did you? How can you improve that? Like, why would you assume that? Do you even fucking know? Like, they're the most shameless bad faith people need. They're shameless.
Him putting this clip in the video is him saying, I don't side with the left or the right wing of politics. I only side with facts. Remember, he only sides with the facts. Bro is just not political. What are you guys talking about? Of course he's not political. On a serious note, what does this have to do with anything? Destiny is calling conservatives dishonest in this clip, I don't know if the critical drinker officially considers himself conservative or if he has any ties to a political party. I have no idea. But the reason why Birdman generalized a whole group of people here through the clip of Destiny, who was generalizing a whole group of people. I'm not going at Destiny, that's just a fact. That's what was happening. He was generalizing. The reason he did that is very simple. He puts critical drinker in the category of conservative. And since Birdman is on the left, he attacks his politics. No, he doesn't go back to substantiate any of his arguments or claims. He puts a Destiny clip here and then acts unbiased. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to be convinced.
One of the tactics of grifters and their parrots is to attempt to maintain an air of plausible deniability so that when they are criticized for their bigotry, they can hide behind deflections. In my previous video, I brought up one of them, the "but Ripley from Alien" defense. In short, these people try to use examples that match or are similar to the identity of a group that they regularly target to pretend they are not prejudiced against that group. In political discourse, this is probably more well known as, "but I have black friends." We know that doesn't actually work as a defense because we have actual history of slave owners falling in love with their slaves and that male sexists still love their female family members. But when you have sustained and consistent campaigns against certain groups of people, it's entirely reasonable to suggest you have a dislike for those groups. For Will, one of those groups is women.
Okay, now, here he is saying, grifters and their parrots, the grifters being the media grifters that we discussed, and their parrots, meaning the people who repeat their talking points, as he claims, often use plausible deniability to cover up their racism. Surely the things he has up on the screen right now are evidence of covert racism. Let's take a look at these. So the first one is talking about the acolyte. It says, "We've taken over the fandom, and if you don't like it, go away." That was what he quoted. And you know what? Looking back, it really did feel like that when The Acolyte was coming out. It felt like a bunch of people who didn't love Star Wars coming in and just going, "No, the show is great." And I didn't understand why at all. But anyway, he says, "Nobody wanted The Acolyte, nor the bad writing and world building, along with legacy or new characters." Now, along with the legacy or new characters part, that is highlighted. I don't know why, but it says, "If they simply wrote good characters and gave a shit about the world, we'd applaud and be happy with you." So, where's the racism in this? I don't see it. The others are out of context. All of them seem to be. This is from 10 years ago. The Reddit post from Mr. Flesh. And it says, "Christ, another SJW clickbait argument. Nobody gives a shit he's black. People want to know why he's not a clone." I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know. If I had to take a guess, I think that Birdman got offended at SJW. Maybe, since he's a left-winger. The SJW bit maybe just ruffled his feathers a little bit. But I thought that SJW was far left. Like, that's who they're talking about. I don't know, though. These screen grabs are out of context. I have no idea if this guy was racist, and then he said, the black people are not the problem. If he was, then maybe you would have shown that. But you didn't, so, oh well. Howdy, folks. Future Gamist here. So, Past Me made a little bit of a mistake. He decided to read out these screenshots without doing extensive research, like Future Gamist here did. This little bastard was over here sucking on his mama's tits without even... This little bastard was over here sucking on his mama's tits without even doing any research. What the fuck? So he highlights with the along with legacy or new characters part because he's of the opinion that if you say legacy characters and you use it in the context of talking about old characters instead of new characters, then you are a grifter and not just misusing the word. Because technically, legacy character means the new characters that take the place of the old characters. But honestly, that doesn't really make any fucking sense. It's kind of weird to me, and it's also thrown around, you know? This is going to be a quick edit. I kind of agree with Birdman here, where he says that, you know, the legacy characters, if there's a definition for it, you should use the definition as intended. But, I mean, I don't really give a fuck about that because, you know, it's not a cemented definition. It's not an actual definition, it's a trope. And I know that tropes change and definitions change, don't get me wrong, but I care less about tropes and more about definitions, so whatever. Also, the the movie that Mr. Flesh is talking about is The Force Awakens. So, yeah. Why he's not a clone, he's talking he doesn't know the lore. He probably thinks that he's supposed to be a clone trooper or something, and that all clone troopers are white or whatever. It's probably just a blunder on his part. But yeah. Anyway, there's the context. Back to stupid past gamer, which is not better than future gamer. Fuck you, past gamer. All right, bye. The next one says, because those were cool characters. We dislike the new characters because they're badly written and inconsistent motivations, not because of how they look. So, out of context, this guy seems like he doesn't like badly written characters. And he says that he doesn't care about how somebody looks. I would say, not a racist, but again, out of context. Maybe there's context where he was racist before. But you didn't show that. I don't know why you wouldn't unless there's no evidence that he was being racist. This next guy says, because they were amazing characters? Funny how decent writing and good story doesn't cause fans of a franchise to bitch, huh? I mean, am I fucking? I have no idea what he sees in these posts. Are you saying that they're racist and they're trying to cover it up by pretending not to be racist? So if they were racist, maybe it would behoove you to fucking put a racist thing that they said before, or maybe multiple examples of them saying racist stuff before they wrote that, maybe? I just said behooved, that's how befuddled I am. I just said befuddled, that's how behooved and befuddled I am. Wait, what? What the Birdman is doing here is generalizing a whole group of people, again, and now he's saying that this whole group of people are covert, racist, and sexist. Both the grifters and the parrots are, including these guys. Mr. Flesh, he's been around before Drinker made a channel, but he's a part of the Drinker's parrots, you understand? If you're gonna say that somebody is racist, then you need to take it on a case-by-case basis. You can't just say that a whole group of people is racist just because they don't like something that you do. You don't know these people at all. I doubt you have any interactions with these people. Is this tirade really because they don't like a group of movies that you do? Don't worry, audience, I've cracked a code on this. I was confused just like you, but I figured it out. In order for the Birdman to think that you're racist and sexist, you have to do 3 things. 3 key things. You ready? The number 1 thing you gotta do is breathe. Just fucking suck in that air, you fucking breathing bastard. Look at you. The second, you have to be subscribed to Critical Drinker or others of his ilk. Remember, you have to be subscribed. Even if it's a subscription that you don't even remember, you just clicked on it one day and then you're like, I'm subscribed to him still? Yep, you're fucking racist. And last but not least, you need to dislike a movie that has a black main character or a female main character. Remember, if you dislike one of those, then you are a sexist or a fucking racist.
Disgusting!
Let's examine one of the most egregious cases of Will's attempts at plausible deniability.
Alright, so he says he's given us an example of plausible deniability. Let's see what he says.
On January 5th, 2020, Drinker uploaded a video about The Mandalorian. In it, he had this to say about Gina Carano.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny. Oh well, it could have been worse. They could have cast Ronda Rousey.
Pretty obvious he dislikes this person and thinks she shouldn't be an actor. Fair enough.
Dislikes the person is pretty strong. Maybe disliked her performance. Shouldn't be an actor? I kind of agree with that. He did say that she's not an actor. Does this mean that if she improves in the future, he won't acknowledge that? No. Just right now, he thinks that she shouldn't be an actor. Now, where could he be going with this point?
However, later that year, Gina got into a string of spats on Twitter that had her facing accusations of racism and bigotry, and she was subsequently fired by Disney. Then, a few months later, Drinker makes a video about Gina so embarrassing, you just have to hear it to believe it.
Gather round, dear viewer, as I tell you a tale. It's the tale of a woman who stood tall in the face of jealousy, cowardice, hatred, and vengeance, and dared to utter a single word. No. It's the story of the girl who wouldn't back down. She fought and won many battles and earned herself great acclaim. But the young woman had her eyes set on a higher goal, and eventually she gave up her life of fighting, travelling instead to the great kingdom of Hollywood to seek fame and glory as an actor instead. And as it turns out, her long years of training and fighting served her well, and soon she was chosen for many roles on the silver screen. Her triumph was cemented when the king and queen chose her to play a soldier, fighting amongst the stars themselves. Her fame was growing fast, but sadly, so was her list of enemies.
This is a flip-flop so insane it could put Crocs and Birkenstock out of business.
Nothing in the clip that he just shown was Critical Drinker contradicting himself at all. Drinker in that clip never praised her acting capabilities. Go back and listen if you want. He said that she's pursuing acting. That's different from being a good actor.
And this isn't even the only video he's made about her. Listen to this nonsense.
One of the problems with hiring strong independent women to work at your company instead of the usual assemblage of soft, entitled, like-minded corporate drones that have never had an original thought in their entire lives is that they don't always think, say, or do the things that you want them to. Case in point, Gina Carano, a former women's MMA fighter turned actor who was brought in to play Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, and at first, all seemed well. The show was a success and Carano's character soon became a fan favourite. Unfortunately, she began to ruffle feathers behind the scenes at Disney Lucasfilm by refusing to spout the same politically acceptable talking points as everyone else at the company, and even dared to express some conservative political views at times.
He spoke about this person like she was a dog, outright saying she can't even act, but as soon as she spouts nonsense and conspiracy theories and gets fired for her troubles, he's writing poems and puff pieces.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny.
Spoke about her like she was a dog. A dog. A fucking dog. What are you saying? He said that she's big and burly and knows what she's doing in a fight scene. Now, the big and burly part can be considered him saying that in a negative way. But then he said that she was good in fight scenes. And I think that he was lining up positives because the character needs to be a tough character, unless she needs to be tough. The character was introduced as tough and she knew what she was doing in fight scenes. She was supposed to look the part of being tough, a big and burly character, which plays in favor of Gina Carano. He compares her to Ronda Rousey not only for the fight sequences, but also for the acting, because he thinks that she is better than Ronda Rousey. He still critiques her acting, saying that she cannot act. When you're doing a movie or TV show review, you are putting criticism in that review. Obviously, if the directing, the cinematography, the script, the acting, if they're all bad, you're going to say it. If you think that somebody is bad in their role, then you are going to say it. Kinda like how you did in the Madam Web review for Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney is really cute. Like, super cute. Like, really attractive. And that's a problem. Why is it a problem, Birdman? Well, she's only getting roles because she's really attractive. I'm sorry to say that. You know, I thought we were past this kind of shit. You know, but in 2024, we're still getting hires based on people's looks. And sorry, Sydney, and to her fans, she can't act. She's not good at acting. Incredibly attractive. Bad at acting.
Oh, but you did call her pretty, but is being pretty her only value, you fucking sexist piece of shit? Look at you over there treating Sydney Sweeney like a fucking dog. What is wrong with you? How did Critical Drinker talk about her like she was a dog? I just don't understand it. Moving on from the stupid dog comment, he says something else here. He says that she's spouting nonsense and conspiracy theories, and Because she was doing that, she got fired for her troubles. Before this, I would argue that he said something more objective, which is why I didn't say anything at the time. He said, however, later that year, Gina got into a string of spats on Twitter that had her facing accusations of racism and bigotry, and she was subsequently fired by Disney. That is an objective fact that you made here. The reason why now he's saying that she's spouting nonsense and conspiracy theories is because he disagrees with her. His statement before was objective, and now his statement is subjective. The reason why he does this is so that way it can seem like he's giving you facts instead of his political opinions. This whole video, he is using what I like to call retard-coded language. That's when you try to hide your retardation underneath seemingly reasonable language. I have no doubt if you never went through this video a second time and the first listen you were like, yeah, sure, whatever. I have no doubt that you went out of it going like, yeah, he made some good points. If you listen to everything that this man says, he is a fucking dumbass. And not only a dumbass, but disingenuous. About as disingenuous as him saying that these are puff pieces and poems or whatever. The Critical Drinker agrees with Gina Carano, and he supports Gina Carano. He made a video supporting Gina Carano. He has made videos of him loving a movie. Is that a puff piece to a movie?
This is an enemy the likes of which Theoden and his people have never faced before. An army that will not stop, that can't be daunted and won't show them any mercy. A relentless machine of war that even human courage can't stand against. With all hope seemingly lost, Aragorn suggests one last suicidal charge, trying to buy time for the women and children to escape, knowing they won't make it far but determined to try anyway.
Ride out and meet them. For death and glory. For Rohan.
You know, people often point to Theoden's speech at the Battle of the Pelennor Fields as the best one of the trilogy, but for me it's this one right here.
Fell deeds awake.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the Red Dawn!
It's not eloquent or heroic, it doesn't inspire thoughts of victory, it's the last words of a man facing the end, knowing there'll be no one left to sing songs about him when it's all over. A man whose only goal now is to fight and die.
Not to mention he also speaks like this in his Crash and Burn series.
But fame exacts a heavy price on any man, dear viewer, and pretty soon LaBeouf's personal demons and insecurities manifested themselves in high-profile public meltdowns, constant arrests, substance abuse, and bizarre wannabe artistic PR stunts, all of it gradually chipping away at his Hollywood bankability until finally, there was nothing left.
He uses similar language when he's talking about a movie that he likes, and throughout this quote-unquote puff piece, he never says that she's a good actor. He never says that anything that he said before was wrong. He never says it. A 180 would be him saying, wow, what an amazing actor. But he never did. The only thing that Drinker did is agree with someone that you disagree with.
Pathetic. This man is shameless. If it isn't obvious by now, he has a clear political agenda, and this colors his work. Before he knew she shared political opinions that align with his grift, she was a girl boss, only here to promote Kathleen Kennedy's woke agenda, and shouldn't have even been cast. But now, she's a shield he can use to deflect criticism about his obvious disdain for strong female characters. You know, look over here and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Has spoken!
Who are you?
Notice how Critical Drinker never said any of that shit that he just said. And you could be one of those, well, he doesn't have to because he obviously has a political agenda. There's a difference between having political opinions and a political agenda. We could get into the nitty-gritty of the differences between a political opinion and a political agenda, and if Critical Drinker aligns with pushing an agenda. But in all honesty, this part is almost over, and he's gonna mention this political agenda nonsense later down the line anyway. Gina Carano is obviously not used as a shield here. There's no evidence to this claim as per usual. He never substantiates any of this shit. In order for us to even take seriously the claim that Gina Carano is used as a shield for Critical Drinker, we would have to see evidence of his sexism, which Birdman has not shown. Not in the slightest. As a matter of fact, before he got onto his sexism claim, he showed Drinker praising Zoe Kravitz, the Catwoman in the Batman movie. If I'm not mistaken, she's a female. When you showed that clip, why didn't you mention that Critical Drinker was using Zoe Kravitz as a shield as well? It's very simple. It's because the Critical Drinker wasn't.
And Lady Gravemaster says, never forget, Hattie McDaniel won the Academy Award in 1939 for Mammy from Gone with the Wind, and all those elites made her wait out in the hallway. She was groundbreaking. She had talent and courage. Yeah, they did. Fucking hell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she wasn't allowed to stay in the same hotel as most of the other actors as well. Just absolute shit. Unprofessional treatment of someone so awesome. So, yeah, times have changed, I guess. Thank God.
Yeah, no, I liked her character. I liked her relationship with Jinx. Yeah, I thought she was interesting. I like the fact that she really actually takes a beating in the course of the show. You know, she's not an invincible, unstoppable superhero. She actually can get hurt, and she's kind of vulnerable like everyone else is. Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah, I like that she's a brawler, brought up by Vander, and that he tries to impart the same lesson he learned so long ago, which the further you go, the more people you hurt, the more you respond violently, the more violence is encouraged. And it's not until the last episode where she beats the fuck out of Savika that I think she gets closure for what happened to Vander. There's a lot of good stuff for what happens with Vi throughout the season. I don't know how many people pick her for a favorite because of the fact that other characters are in that show who are really fucking good. But
I mean, if I had to pick, I would say probably Silco or Jinx would be my favorites personally.
They're my two favorites, yeah.
Yeah. It's not, and then that's not to take anything away from Vi. I think when you've got the protagonist, you've got more of a weight on you to make them relatable and likable to everyone. Whereas when you've got an antagonist like Silco or Jinx, to some extent, you can just take more chances with them and they end up becoming more interesting because of that. Conman Kershaw said, question for you all. Who's your favorite actor, actress, beautiful and brave screen warrior of all time? I want to avoid the obvious choices like, Sarah Connor or Ripley. Sigourney Weaver wasn't what I'd describe as beautiful necessarily, but she was striking. But if I try and think about, other characters that are perhaps lesser known, I'm trying to think of good examples because I feel like we haven't got many in recent years. I mean, you've got the bride from Kill Bill. I think she was always going to be a good one. Yeah, what's the other one I was thinking of there? Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat as well here. There's still a lot of chat about the war, obviously. Yeah, there's a good example, actually. Emily Blunt from The Edge of Tomorrow. Playing a really good character, beautiful actress. She clearly got in shape for the part. And yeah, overall, just a great role for her. I also remember Gina Davis from The Long Kiss Goodnight. I always thought she was pretty awesome in that. A movie that probably doesn't get much recognition now, but kind of blazed a trail, I guess, back then. And I thought she was pretty cool in that. Again, she really prepared physically for the role. I think she learned a fair bit about was it archery? Her character does in that. Yeah, I think she got into archery for it, which again is pretty awesome stuff. And the one I put on Twitter the other day was Jessica Biel in Blade Trinity. Pretty shit movie in most respects, but she was awesome in it. She really prepped for the role. There was a great story that I'm sure you've probably heard that she had to shoot an arrow towards the camera, and so it was all covered by a big plexiglass screen to protect the crew and everything, and there was only a little square cut out of it for the actual camera lens to point through. And of course, she took aim at it and without thinking let an arrow fly and just put an arrow straight through that tiny little square. Her aim was that good, and destroyed a $300,000 camera, which was pretty fucking awesome. I hope it was insured. But yeah, she was in incredible shape for that movie, and stayed so for quite a few years afterwards, which is pretty impressive. Richard Curtis says, so glad to see Mr. H and Drinker together. Also, always great to see Mahler and Eric. Also, Paul, do you think Kate Blanchett definitely has the royal jelly? I mean, she
yeah.
kind of decided to stop aging, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. I think she made some kind of deal. I don't know. Something's going on.
Her and Ralph Macchio, man, they made a deal with the devil.
Yep, Satan will be collecting their souls eventually, but for now, they get to look great and everything.
She's she's a good-looking woman. So yeah, it's like when I did see her in Thor Ragnarok, much as I'm not a huge fan of the movie, I was like, yeah, she looks pretty fucking cool in it.
When she first arrives and her hair is down, I was just like, I'm sorry, you're 52? Like, you're lying.
What's the last that's in Boba Fett as well? She plays Fennec.
Oh, right. Fennec Shand. I used to know her name. I've forgotten it, I guess.
Yeah, well, we know who we're talking about anyway. But yeah, she's 58 years old. I'm like, fuck off! How can you
Again,
be
she
58?
looks younger than Kate Blanchett. It's like, all right, you guys got to stop doing this.
Yeah,
making the rest of us look bad. Ming Na Wen, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Now don't worry, I can hear you tapping on my shoulder going, hey gamer, what would be a good example of plausible deniability? If the Birdman didn't give a good example of plausible deniability, then what do you have? What can you use for plausible deniability? I'm sure you're expecting this, but still, get your sexy time sock ready because we're gonna talk about Birdman himself! The man, the myth, the legend of hypocrisy. While I was going through his video exposing the grift, the Birdman, he made a video about himself, guys. While I was going through that very, very narcissistic video that took years off my life, I stumbled onto this.
Now, I'm aware that someone is going to hear me say all this and then bring up CinemaSins and this very series, like this comment did, with the underlying logic being that I am somehow grifting by making these videos. My response to this is very simple. These are series. There's no definite end to them because that's how they were designed. For my CinemaSins videos, the draw is the film we're discussing, and there's an infinite number of those. I'll keep making those videos as long as there are movies to talk about because I genuinely enjoy that. Fact-checking CinemaSins is the cherry on top. It's something I like doing because of that personality quirk I mentioned earlier. I joke about the audience being Stan, but maybe that's actually me.
Before we get into the plausible deniability aspect of this whole thing, we have to talk about two things. One, he talks about his personality quirk, how he must speak the truth even if it's in the face of adversity. So much adversity that it may be overwhelming. He will still scream at you the truth. How he says that he must debate all the time, every time. That's what he was talking about with his personality quirk. Do you believe him? I sure do. Of course I do. Anyway, next, his OC there, Stan, is a typical CinemaSins watcher. It's his way of making fun of CinemaSins' audience. These are the people who will defend CinemaSins no matter what he says, if it's stupid or not. He's saying that he's secretly him, because remember, he just loves CinemaSins so much. If you want full context and you think you could stomach it, go ahead to Exposing the Birdman, his video that he made about himself. Warning, it's very narcissistic, but I think I've given you plenty of context. Anyway, if you go to my first part of me exposing the Birdman, you will see I touched on his history with CinemaSins. It's very clear through his long history with CinemaSins that he is not a fan of him. You laugh at him way more than you laugh with him. I've seen you get genuinely angry with him about his talking points. You are constantly insulting him, and in the last part of the video you said that he was a bad critic. I have looked through almost every single one of the videos you did on him. Your Everything Wrong with CinemaSins videos are filled with insults to CinemaSins. If the movies were the point of the videos, as you claim, then the movies would be the point of the video. You wouldn't need CinemaSins to insult while you're talking about the movie. Now, I'm fine, like I've said, with response videos and all that other stuff, but you're acting like you're not talking about CinemaSins. You act like you're a fan of CinemaSins, that you love CinemaSins, but you don't. There is a lot to not like about that channel, sure, but you are worse. And just like you being a leftist, it's okay to also admit that you don't like CinemaSins. It's completely fine. There are some moments where he laughs with Jeremy, and then there are some moments where he agrees with Jeremy. But I feel like he's viewing it like CinemaSins is the bad movie. Now, I'm aware that he's touched on this criticism before in the past. Many people before me has called him out on his obvious dislike for CinemaSins. He goes over it in this video talking about his disclaimer. This video was the first video that I found of him talking about this. This is also the first video I found of him saying that the Birdman was a character. There, however, is another video that he goes over this called Everything Wrong with CinemaSins Explained. Here's what he says.
My character, Birdman, is based on me. He's not exactly like me, but he's, I want to say like 80, 85% me. And then there are some embellishments that I do with the character. But anyway, he is a character in the CinemaSins, Everything Wrong with CinemaSins videos. It's the Birdman character reacting to the Jeremy character. So yeah, Birdman started out as just this huge fan of CinemaSins like me, and he kind of got fed up with some of the things that CinemaSins got wrong. So he was like, I'm gonna nitpick them the way that they nitpick movies, and that's the character. Now, I've always said that the criticism is real. The criticism comes from the Birdman. Okay, but Birdman speaks out the criticism, and Birdman embellishes it. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of a dick to the Jeremy character, and I think that stuff is funny, but that's not the Birdman. That's I don't really feel these things towards Jeremy Scott. I actually think he's a pretty cool guy, and I like the sort of he's all about like suicide prevention. Like that stuff is cool. You know what I mean? Like that's good stuff. So Jeremy as a person, it doesn't bother me. Jeremy the character, however, bothers Birdman the character. So I hope that you can now delineate between the two.
So there you go. You heard it yourself. The criticism is real, but his character doesn't like Jeremy's character, or is bothered by. I'm just gonna use his words. Bothered by Jeremy's character. I'm not going to go into him hating CinemaSins, because I don't think that he hates CinemaSins or Jeremy personally. I just think that his disclaimer is a lie, and I think that he uses plausible deniability so that way he doesn't get labeled as a hate channel. Like I said, despite the blood-sucking mosquito that he is, constantly feeding off of the same target every single fucking day, I don't think that he hates CinemaSins, because there's no real way to prove that he hates CinemaSins. But there is a way to prove that he's not a fan. I want you to keep in mind when he said that 85% of the character is him, and then 15% of the character is not. That 15% is just a little flair, little insults here and there. It's supposed to be funny, him poking fun. Ladies and gentlemen, remember what he said. He's a comedian first.
Lies drip from your mouth like the blood from my sores. The proof is there for all to see.
Let's look at a clip that I found interesting. He said that the criticism in his videos are all him, but the insults are not. He puts it through a filter. They're little jokey jokes. We're gonna be looking at one of those hilarious jokes right now. It's important to remember that this is 85% him, and 15% of that asshole character that we was talking about before. Let's take a look.
I think my audience expects me to blow up at this, given my staunch position that comic book characters need their costumes. They're right. This is some of the most incoherent nonsense I've ever heard, and that's saying something because we're talking about Jeremy from fucking CinemaSins here. It makes less than 0 sense to suggest that comic-accurate costumes are dumb when you're talking about comic book characters, motherfucker. Why is a dude with claws that comes out of his hands less silly than the costume that same dude wears? His movie came out only 2 years before Spider-Man did, meaning they're from the same era. Imagine suggesting Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was dumb because he wore the red and blue onesie. Oh, you wouldn't do that because that suit is iconic? Exactly, you beetle brain dope. It's iconic because it's from the comics. The only reason you're saying this dumb shit is because of the nonsensical proton-sized brain decision made by Fox to dress the fucking X-Men like they were heading to a BDSM party in Pittsburgh. They, like you, didn't care about these characters, only how much money they made them. So they, like you, thought it was okay to slap the fans of these characters in the face. And this is why they, like you, started falling in ratings and viewership and eventually got bought, like I'm taxing your ass right now. You would never suggest Superman doesn't need the red cape or the S on his chest. And so help me, if anyone mentions Smallville in the comments section, I'll fucking ban you. 100 sins.
Oh wow, you just fucking obliterated him, dude. If you've been paying attention, you could probably see where I'm going with this. The Birdman usually, after he talks about one of Jeremy's points, he insults Jeremy. Now you can say that's a joke, and sure, fine, you can have that opinion. But what about all the times that he says that he's not funny? Is the not funny part criticism, or is it actually a joke? Some would say both. Some would say it is criticism. I don't think anyone would really say that him not being funny is a joke. If you're amongst those people, then sure, but I don't think you're majority. We're gonna keep all of this in mind. Next thing I want to talk about is when he says, that's racist, or that's sexist, and he's talking about Jeremy. He clearly calls him racist in some of these clips. Does he think that he's a racist? I don't know, but calling him a racist, is that a joke? Maybe. Now how about we go through all of this? If you don't think that CinemaSins is a good critic, then you don't like his criticism. Jeremy is a critic. CinemaSins is a channel where he criticizes movies. But that's fine, you don't like the criticism aspect of it, that's fine. Your whole channel was built on not liking his criticism, so I understand. Now you say he's not funny, and that all of your criticism is you. If we are to take seriously the amount of times that you say that he's not funny and point out a bad joke, then it would be true that you don't think that he's funny. However, CinemaSins is a comedy channel. He mixes comedy with criticism. He combines the two. Jeremy is a comedian. He is also a critic. These are the two genres of his entire channel. If you think he's a bad critic and you think he's not funny, then what really do you love about CinemaSins?
Look, I fairly enjoy this movie. It's fun to see stuff like this, where Chris Evans tricks the audience into thinking he's Captain America only to pull a Johnny Storm. But it takes forever to set up some of these jokes. We had to sit through this driving angry section for a full minute while the movie coiled its spring for this moment.
And I really am baffled at all the people that get upset at me for making these videos on the basis of this being a comedy channel, as if mine isn't, because CinemaSins clearly doesn't understand comedy. If something as basal to comedy as setup, payoff seriously confounds them, I'm sorry, you lose the right to defend them on this basis. Channel that claims to be a comedy channel cannot recognize a joke.
Also, so JJ made Force Awakens and Rian Johnson was like, well, that was good, but it's a New Hope all over again. I want to take Star Wars in new directions. And JJ sees The Last Jedi and says, what the f, Ryan? You threw out everything I did. I'm bringing it all back, damn it. And Kathleen Kennedy sat at a table counting money like Gus Van Sant and Jay and Silent Bob saying, not now, Ben, I'm busy. And Colin Trevorrow was over in the corner raising his hand saying, I am job.
I let that whole thing play out for the people that ask me why I skip these kinds of tangents. If you didn't cringe, I pity your soul. And your mother.
There's also times where you don't provide criticism and you start insulting him. Like I've said before, there are times where you call him racist, there are times where you call him sexist. Are those criticisms or are those really just jokes? If those are real critiques, then, well, why do you like him? Are you telling me that you love a channel that's sometimes racist? And if you calling him racist is a joke...
How? 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 I don't know.
You're not a fan of him, you make videos for people to hate watch him, you do Don't deny it because it's right there in front of me. Don't believe your lying eyes and ears is what he's trying to say, but you do this. But then after every roast session or every time when someone confronts you, you go, I love CinemaSins. I love him so much. Oh my God, I'm a fan of Jeremy's. I'm the Stan. I am the Stan. I'm the one that loves his videos so much.
So I just think this is just ridiculous. I don't like CinemaSins' take here. I think they're being very clownish because they know the effect that they have. Okay. And I always laugh at the dishonesty of, yeah, we're not being serious. And then you say serious things outside of your character on CinemaSins. And then just somehow that ends up in your CinemaSins videos. It's just like, and then people fall for the shit. I mean, it's obvious that they fall for it. Like, just look at these guys. Look at the people that defend you. It's just insanity to me. Because, like, I can see through the okie doke. And for whatever reason, people just can't see through it. But yeah, continue lying to us. That's fantastic because that does nothing but give me more content.
And I have to scratch my head because haven't I been criticizing CinemaSins for the past 7 years? How is the Exposing the Grift series materially different than the Everything Wrong with CinemaSins series? I'm asking my own audience this question too, because people seem to think these series are different. To me, they're exactly the same. Calling out people for lying, manipulating, and misunderstanding media while providing rebuttal and education on these topics in the process. I think people may think these are different because they assume that CinemaSins is a joke channel, but if you actually watched my CinemaSins videos, you will see that I show they are not joking over and over, using CinemaSins' own words to prove that point. I thought I was already taking on the guys who started terrible media analysis in CinemaSins, but you people are so much worse. And video by video, I'm waking people up to your shenanigans, Will. It's only a matter of time before you're as irrelevant as CinemaSins. Yeah, I did that too.
If CinemaSins can be considered irrelevant, why can't the same be said for you since you make less views than they do?
You are cosmically dumb. Like, Galactus came down, used the power cosmic, and turned you into the wood surfer, which is apropos because all you do is ride my dick all day. You come to the exact wrong conclusion 100% of the time. CinemaSins used to have videos in the millions of views for literally all of their videos. I come along, and now a 9 million subscriber channel has videos with 50,000 views. That's what I'm saying, Sherlock, that I've put a dent in their popularity. Because of course I did.
That is what we like to call plausible deniability. My God, that is part 2 taken care of right there. This video was very headache-inducing to make, so I hope you enjoy. I got a little passionate in some areas, I hope you don't mind. He really annoyed me. Anyway, stick around for part 3 where we talk about Barbie and The Acolyte being very similar to Breaking Bad. It should be very educational. I'm sure Birdman will enlighten us on that topic. And as always, later, fat ass.
This man is shameless.
Shameless!
Because aside for some people who claim that they don't care about politics, really? What the fuck? How does he know? Huh? How does he know? He was really liking the way his voice sounded in that one. How does he know? Oh my God. How does he know? And you're like, no? Who was that? And then he's like, oh man, that's really racist Randy. The guy is known for being really racist. And you're like, no, I don't know who that was. And he says, dude, that was really racist Randy. I can't get through it. And you're like, no, should I know who that was? Who was that? And he says, dude, that's really racist Randy. He's fuck it, that's the best it's gonna be.